I'm building an Etsy scraper in Google Sheets. I'm Mr. Mark, Mr. Mark Teach. And in a previous video, I actually started off by checking the response, making sure that we could actually connect to the site, which in this case is Etsy, and that we could actually pull the web page content. And as it turns out, yes, we can pull the web page content from Etsy, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But first of all, I want to point out the steps that we're currently doing. So first of all, what I just mentioned was step one, which is that I connected to Etsy and I made sure that I could pull the web page content. But now I will attempt to start creating functions that actually extract the data, like the title, the price, and so on from the listings. Now, in order to do that, the first thing is to understand the web page content, right? So what I will do now is open up an individual Etsy listing, and I will want to examine this web page content. So when I refer to web page content, right, what I'm referring to is that if you if you open up any web page and you right click, you go to view page source, you're going to see all of this HTML code. This is the web page content that I'm referring to, right? So while on the surface you're seeing this, right, the actual thing that renders in front of you, right, is rendered by the browser, the actual content of the web page, right, this is the actual source code, right, of the web page. So now what I need to do is to begin extracting data from this web page source, and the question is, well, what can I extract and how do I do it? And basically, to do that, we use what are called regular expressions, right? And I mean, if you're a coder, you might, know some of the stuff already, but just depending on your level, I'm explaining it so that, you understand. And basically, what I'm going to do here is see if I can locate things that I see on the page inside of the source code. All right. By the way, if you are a coder and you're really experienced with scraping, you have other ideas, you know other tools that make this part of the process easier, please do let me know. But I am going to do this the way that I know how to do it and that I've been doing it. But let me know if you know an easier way, especially if it involves free tools, which anyone can use. I mean, that'd be really great. But first of all, let's take a look at the title, right? So if you copy this title, what you can do now is you go over to that source code, and you can search for the title inside of the source code. So to do a search, I will do Control F, which is find, and I'll actually paste that title in here and see if I can find that title inside of the source code. And I can find the title very easily, right? Over here, within these title tags, right? You see the title HTML tags, right? And I can also see a title here where it says content equals right over here as well. And then I also see it here. Now here's it appears to be a JSON format, JSON JSON format. Honestly, I forgot what it stands for at the moment, but that is a format that is common, and for storing data on a web page. And this looks like it'd be the easiest thing for me to do, right? Just using this this JSON. So and really, I mean, the title tag, I mean, that seems just as easy. So I'm looking at both of them to see if there's anything different. The difference is I see that dash there, and so yeah, so I'll go with the JSON format. I'll use the JSON. I always go for the JSON, right? So what I would typically do is copy this and go over to the spreadsheet where I'm actually, now I'm going over to a separate spreadsheet. Now I'm starting another sheet to actually start building the scraper. Okay, right now it's untitled. And what I would typically do is paste this here just so that I can actually see what the JSON is for that. So this is a kind of a organized, like a super organized way of doing it, which I think can help people who are learning how to do this. So if you're just kind of learning, this process, then this is going to be really helpful to you to organize it in this manner. Okay, so that's the title. Now, let's say you wanted to look for the price. All right, we can do that as well. So that's the title. Now, how about the price, which is $5.42? There's that plus sign on it. So back over to the web page source, I'm going to search the $5.42 here. It does have the plus sign. I'm not concerned about the plus sign. I can always remove that. And I see only one result, which is a good thing. So I know that, okay, this is, actually the price. And, it seems easy enough. I mean, we've got the word price here, a colon, the span over here, and the, and then P end in the paragraph. But let's see. Then I have like some kind of other thing here. I always like to kind of look around also see what else is around it. Original price, okay. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of grab the price. Now look, what's really important is what comes before the data and what comes after the data. Why is that? That is how you specify that this is for sure the data. Because the thing is, it has to be consistent, where as we go from listing to listing, that the data appears the same way in the web page content. Right? Otherwise, it's going to work on some listings and not on others. And sometimes that can happen. We do have to have exceptions. But mostly, we want to be able to grab the same data from various listings in the same manner. Right? Like we should be able to do it in the same manner. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and copy this element here back over to my Google Sheet. And I'll just paste it over here. Another column. Now, I mean, okay, it went onto 2 lines, which I kind of don't like, but it's okay for right now. So that's the price. Okay, and I don't want all that stuff. Okay, gee whiz. Alright, I literally just, okay, so that's that. Some of this new stuff, autofill stuff is a little annoying. Okay, so title, price, right? Those are 2 data points that I want to be able to extract from the listing that I was able to locate inside of the web page content source code. Now, I mean, there's tons of other stuff, and I'm not going to, in this particular video, actually, do every single data point possible. But the title and the price are like the 2 main things that people, usually want to be able to get off of listings, right? If they're doing research. Okay, we'll look also at image as well, the image and all that. But now the URL we already have, right? And some, however we have to look into how we actually get URLs. But at this point right now, I'm assuming I already know the listing, right? Because your URL, because if you're doing a scraper, right, you're quite possibly going to be taking listings from Etsy and just dropping the URLs in the spreadsheet. So the URL is the input. You already have the URL, right? We don't need to get the URL. We're not scraping the URL. You have the URL, okay? What we're scraping is the data from the URL, right? So we need to, so you will have the URL already, and then I'm scraping the title from it and the price from it, right? Those are the 2 things we're doing. Okay, so I think that's enough for this video. I'm really trying to segment this stuff as much as possible. It is one video of an entire playlist. So in the playlist, I'm going through in sequence and actually building the scraper so you can actually watch the individual videos. See the description of this video for a link to the files. It's a shared, it's a link that will allow you to access all of the files for this project. And then there's another link that's presented to you if you want to join the email list for this project as well. And that puts you on an actual list, and that's via Gumroad, which is a site where I have been distributing tools and resources for about 5 years at this point. And so I have an actual page, Gumroad page, that you can go to. If you're looking at some of the scraping tools there, some of those might not work anymore, like the actual full scraping systems that I used to actually sell. So you can still download those for free, but I can't guarantee, like the eBay one, will not work because eBay is not letting you pull that data anymore in the way that I do it. But you can still feel free to go ahead and download those tools and examine them and study them, and even try to use them. And then the ones that are just like flat spreadsheets with just formulas, they absolutely work because they're just formulas. So you can always still use those as well. So go onto my, so there's a link. You can join the Gumroad email list for this project, but there's also tons of other things I have on there that have built over the years that you can take a look at. And that's about it. So I'm Mr. Mark. This is Mr. Mark Teach, providing resources here that everyone can access. And so stick with me on this project as I will dive in and do the actual data extraction function to actually extract the data from this web page content and bring it into Google Sheets. So, stick around, or for the next video. All right, find the next video in this playlist so you can see how that process works.